So since Tyson Fury's victory against Deontay Wilder recently, I've seen a lot of people saying that he's now the best heavyweight on the planet. No conversation, no questions asked. And I somewhat disagree with this because obviously we've seen Oleksandr Usyk recently defeat Anthony Joshua at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. And I don't see anyone talking about Usyk as being the man at heavyweight now, which is peculiar to me because he's just beat AJ, and AJ was in the conversation amongst Wilder and Fury as the best heavyweight. So why is Usyk not now also being considered in that conversation? Because obviously Tyson Fury was among the original three, which was Fury, Wilder and Joshua, but Usyk's come into the fold. It's the same as if someone beats Fury now, a contender who's not very well known, or a contender that wasn't in that original three, someone like Dillian Whyte. If he was to go on and beat Fury, is he going to be considered the best heavyweight in the world? If he does it twice, if he beats Fury twice, is he going to be considered the best heavyweight in the world? That's the question I have, because if Usyk goes and beats Fury, of course, you have to say he's the best heavyweight in the world, surely. But no one's considering him right now, which I think is quite unfortunate considering he is probably the most skillful heavyweight out there at the moment. And also, Tyson Fury, in my opinion, shouldn't be considered the best heavyweight in the world just because he beat Deontay Wilder 2 or 3 times. I mean, arguably 3 times, because we all know Tyson Fury didn't draw that fight. The original fight was a clear win for Tyson Fury, in my eyes. We have to look at what he's done over his career, not just in his last couple of fights against Deontay Wilder. He's beat up a very limited fighter twice. You know, you look at the likes of AJ, and listen, I'm no AJ fanboy, but his resume speaks volumes, okay? He's beat Pulev, Povetkin, Klitschko, Dillian Whyte, Joseph Parker, yeah, Andy Ruiz. The list is endless. And Tyson Fury, the only names you can pull out the bag for him are Vladimir Klitschko and Deontay Wilder, who are 2 good names, and specifically Vladimir Klitschko is a top name to have on your resume. But Deontay Wilder, a lot of people have never rated Deontay Wilder. Like myself, I've never thought Deontay Wilder was on the same level as AJ or Fury. I think if you put Deontay Wilder in there with Anthony Joshua will blast him out. That is obviously if he isn't still gun shy, because since that Ruiz fight, it's clear that Anthony Joshua is somewhat gun shy, unfortunately, and I hope that for the Usyk rematch coming up, he can sort that out, because that is the gun shy mentality is taken away from the strengths that he does have, especially the strengths that he has over Usyk, which are, you know, his explosiveness and his power. So from my perspective, I would argue that Tyson Fury is not yet the best heavyweight in the world. He has to fight Usyk, he has to fight Dillian Whyte. There's a lot of guys out there that are coming for the titles, even people like Joyce. These are fighters that have to be mentioned among the conversation. This is the most competitive heavyweight era since the 1990s. I mean, that Tyson Fury Deontay Wilder fight was reminiscent of Evander Holyfield versus Riddick Bowe. It was really that good. I think one of the things that you could argue is evidence to how good this heavyweight era is that you could ask 10 different people their top 10 heavyweights right now, and you'll get 10 different answers. You'll get one guy telling people that Fury's the best, the next guy saying Usyk's number 1. You'll have people putting AJ in bloody 9th place or something. Do you get what I'm saying? So this era is incredible. It's the best era since the 1990s. No questions asked. You look at the previous era with the likes of Hay and Klitschko, Ibragimov, even people like Shannon Briggs was still about. You know, that era was very poor. Very poor. But obviously now we've got a golden era of heavyweight boxing back. I've always thought that people like Usyk were one of the top fighters pound for pound, not just in their cruiserweight division. And I always thought that Usyk would come and beat one of these guys. Maybe even all of these guys. I think Usyk could beat Fury. There's an argument to be made. And you have to remember that the best heavyweight eras are the ones where anyone can beat anyone. There's never a dominant champion in the best heavyweight eras. You look back to, for example, the 1970s, where you had Ali, who lost to Frazier, then beat Frazier. You had Foreman, who knocked out Frazier and Norton, but lost to Ali. You had Ali losing to Ken Norton. You had all these different fights and all these different fighters, and there was not one dominant champion. Obviously, in the end, Ali proved to be the cream of the crop, but it wasn't an easy ride. It was a nuts era. It was a nuts era. And I think this era could turn out a little bit like that. I could see Tyson Fury losing to Usyk or Whyte or Joyce. And I could see AJ beating Wilder or beating Usyk in the rematch, or there's countless scenarios that could unfold in this era. Let me know in the comment section who you think is gonna be eventually the top heavyweight, whether it's Usyk, Fury, AJ, Whyte, Joyce, Wilder, whoever. Let me know in the comment section.